guys, welcome to the Psychologist. My name is Ashu.
And my name is Michelle.
And this is our first YouTube video. But before we get started talking about various mental health issues, we wanted to see what you guys had to say. So we took a little stroll in New York City. And so let's take a look.
What is a mental disorder?
A mental disorder, isn't that when there's like something wrong with your mind, like your brain?
I think a mental disorder is, when you have like a disability or like something like that.
I have no idea actually.
Mental health is dealing with people who has mental sickness and how to treat them and help them overcome that situation and help them with that, I believe.
I would say it's like a learning disability or some sort of impact in terms of how your ability to develop mentally and learning and stuff like that.
A mental disorder is anything that changes a person's personality.
A mental disorder is a problem with a complication with someone's brain, and there's various types of mental disorders.
Mental disorder is some type of disease within the brain.
Just when somebody has certain cognitive issues that deviate from the normal bell curve of expected mental... I'm out of words.
I think a mental disorder is something that's chemically wrong with the brain, something in your brain that person's lacking or just is different.
It's something that's wrong with your brain that kind of holds you back in your life sometimes, and you need medication to get better.
It's something that affects your thinking process, your mood, or your mental status.
The definition of a mental disorder has changed throughout time. I think it can be anything from severe disorders like bipolar, schizophrenia, but I think depression is something that's a mental disorder, and it affects everyone on a daily basis, hundreds of thousands of people, I would assume. And I think it's when it affects your daily living, the way you function, when you go to work, when you go out, it just makes you feel like less of a human being, I think.
What does a psychologist do?
A psychologist is someone that assists someone who is not in the right state of mind or not in their thought of a right state of mind, I guess.
Psychologists would have to diagnose what you're suffering from. It could be anything from like attention disorder to different personality disorders, stuff like that.
It helps you get through like your mental disorder.
I think a psychologist helps someone that's, not right in the head or has issues, and they help them, unlock like a chapter in their life that helps them.
Helps a person talk through his problems.
Psychologists treat more, I would say, patients that has somewhat of mental illness, but at the same time it don't have to be a mental illness. Just helping people get through it, psychological differences in life, I believe.
Psychologists, they talk to people and help them work through their issues that are affecting their mental health.
I think they can provide support for those people who are seeking aid in certain aspects. I think they tend to be more helpful in terms of bringing somebody who's potentially, from what I know, I think it's more about bringing somebody who's has issues from the negatives into the normal range, rather than from the normal range to going beyond it and being absolutely phenomenal. But it's all about kind of bringing them back to being normal.
A psychologist basically studies the brain and helps people that have mental disorders.
They help you. They talk you through through your problems. They help you analyze what's affecting you. They help you understand how to attack the problem and how to make yourself better.
Well, from my experience, they talk to you, they try to figure out your life and the things you do, your patterns, and kind of just tries to figure out and collects all the symptoms and then diagnoses you, and which is really kind of like a guessing game. But they're pretty on point if they're a good psychologist.
I believe psychotherapy is very effective, and they have also cognitive behavioral patterns changes, in which they can walk you through a long process that I know needs disciplines and costs a lot of money, and it takes years. However, it's effective, and you can avoid all the side effects of medications, being on medications.
What would you think or do if a loved one is diagnosed with a mental disorder?
Reach out to your family doctor first, and then probably move on with a psychologist.
You gotta just calm down.
I would ask them to seek help and maybe go to a psychologist to get that diagnosed, and encourage them to do that.
I would ask them to seek help because I know that they're not living their life as they would see fit.
I try to get counseling for them. Try to get them to understand that it's not necessarily they're not sick, but that they just need help, and to be guided in terms of just to be able to function kind of in their day-to-day life.
I would support them in getting help because I think that if something's wrong, they should get treatment and they should feel better about themselves. And if you love someone, you want to see them succeed in every way.
I'd be there for them, like, to listen. Yeah.
I'll 100% support them and try to do whatever I can to help my family members if this ever happened.
And the best thing I think you can do is love them the same or love them even more. Give them the right treatment that is needed, treat them the right way, because mental illness is something that one requires special attention for. So a loved one with mental illness, you got to treat them with special care and a lot more love.
Well, I have a loved one that has the same thing that I do, and I don't know, I kind of feel camaraderie with him, so we're pretty okay. But the bad ones like Alzheimer's and schizophrenia, it kind of makes me sad, and it makes my heart hurt when I think about it.
Just the same thing if my loved one had a colon cancer, because it's just a disease that we just have to admit and understand and start working on it and focus on it.
I wouldn't really think anything too differently, because a lot of people do have a lot of mental disorders. It is something that is very common. I went to school where roughly 50% of people were at some point, through anonymous surveys, were diagnosed with some sort of depression. I have a bunch of friends who are just bipolar, and it's a fairly common thing that I think a lot of people do deal with and struggle with in day-to-day life.
Well, I mean, I would know because I do have someone with a mental disorder. She doesn't live anymore, but I guess it's really hard, especially when they can't function the way we'd like them to. They can't have a normal conversation, but because we're family, we try, and we love that person. So it's great. It's hard for all of us to try, and that person can't, because they physically can't try enough to do it.
Is there a stigma against mental disorders?
I mean, it's normal, but it's kind of bad, but it's normal. Everyone is.
Oh, definitely a stigma.
Sadly, yes. I think just raising awareness is always important to understand. You never know what somebody's going through, so I think the more you understand about mental illness, the less stigma there'll be, and it's more important that people are educated.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you have a mental disorder, people are like, oh, they're crazy, or they should be locked up, or
it's contagious.
Yeah, there's a stigma and there's ignorance, I'd say. People don't know enough, and I don't know enough either. I would like to know more, and hopefully that's one thing I'd be able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a stigma, but I think not as much as there was 20 or 30 years ago. I think things are changing, but there's still a little bit of a stigma.
Yeah, I think so, because some people think you're crazy, for having something wrong. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, people are kind of quick to judge. They wouldn't look into it and be like, maybe there's something wrong with them, but they'd probably be like, oh, it's probably a weirdo, or don't touch me. But it's messed up.
Stigma, I wouldn't say per se. I don't really see that as much. But yes, there is some sort of like eye-opener. Or if you see someone with mental illness, you would tend to watch and like stare and stuff like that. But a stigma, I wouldn't say no.
I think absolutely. There's a huge stigma against mental disorders. I think part of it is just that it's not fully understood enough. For example, I think if you look around at the homeless people who are in New York alone, I think a lot of them are actually have large mental disorders, and they're there not by their own prerogative, but rather they're there because they have certain mental disorders that have predisposed them to actually being unable to find employment and other meaningful ways to live their lives.
Less and less, but definitely there still is. But as people get more educated about it, this stigma lessens.
Yes, unfortunately. Again, people were ignorant back in the old days. This process continues.
Yes. From my experience, they think that what I have is no big deal, and they don't take it seriously, and they think that I should just be able to do things like they can, and they don't understand that it's an actual disability and I need help more than the average person. So,
Have you spoken about mental health at home?
No.
At home, not really, but like at school, yeah.
I've never spoken at home because it's never been like something that's happened to me, like in my family, so we never really talked about it. So, no.
Yes.
No.
Me personally, no, because I don't have anyone in particular in my family with that case. So no.
Yes.
Yes, I have. Quite a bit.
Yeah, I do all the time. All of my family and parents are crazy.
I have not.
not more than usual. I mean, like, because I have it. So that's really all we talk about. And it's more to the point that, oh, I need to schedule an appointment with my doctor. Oh, I need to pick up the prescriptions and stuff like that. But other than that, not really.
I don't think anxiety or ADHD is something that should be like mental illness, but it does run in my family. Anxiety problems and depression.
I mean, like, I've had like a couple problems with like depression, and like I've talked to my mom about that.